gentlemen. We were talking right before this that it's been so nice watching the continuation of the series because, when we started a couple years ago, I believe with Vincent had the first online presentation for the Michigan Jazz Festival. We didn't know what this would be, and it's kind of taken on the identity of each of our guests who have brought their expertise to it, and the following artist will continue that. I'm really proud to say that I know Olivia as a former student for a few years, and I've watched her grow as a musician, as a pianist, as a writer, of course, as a vocalist that we all know her now. But I can honestly say that all the stuff that she is going to share with you, not only have I not taught her, but she's taught me. Uh, so there's been a lot of reciprocation of information, and um, I got to just say I'm so proud of you, and you've become a bona fide professional musician, and I feel that you have so much to offer in this. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you Olivia Van Goor.
Thank you so much. That was so sweet. Thank you for coming. And if I could just ask if it's possible for everyone to mute themselves, because then if you're shuffling around and stuff, then it might stop whatever I'm trying to say. It might make it harder for people to hear. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna have a bunch of fun. I didn't say that yet. We're gonna have a bunch of fun, but like I said, I want you to grab a pencil and paper if you haven't already, and I'm going to share my screen. I made a presentation, but during the presentation, if there's at any point an urgent question, or I don't know, something where you want to ask a question and it's very pertinent to what I'm talking about, then how about say in the chat, and Scott will get my attention, because once I share the screen, I can't see anyone anymore. There will be times, though, during the whole presentation where we'll stop. I'll ask people to share. Please don't be shy. This is all a learning experience. I'm still learning, and I'm just here to share and get the gears going for people who maybe feel stuck or just lost in all of this, right? This using the internet and using technology to share and grow even more. Okay, so I'm sharing my presentation, and I'm just going to assume, like we tried before, everyone can see it. So my presentation is called Building Your Musician's Trademark, and I just want to say thank you to the Michigan Jazz Festival for having me. I've seen a ton of the classes that they have, and they're all online. So this one will also be available online, but since you're here, you're going to be able to ask me those specific questions. And then, if you want to review anything later, then it will be online. It's all recorded. Okay, like I said, taking notes are encouraged. So grab that pencil and paper and we'll get started. Disclaimer. Before we start, I want to just say this because I know that there's a lot of negative talk about social media, about the internet, about all the odds that are against musicians, which I think is a really big reason why we struggle. So I just gotta say, positive vibes only. I can't entertain how much Spotify sucks. I can't entertain how hard it is to work. I just can't. We're trying, no haters. We have to work with what we have and try to grow from it. And I understand, there's a ton of people who don't want to use social media. They don't have to. That's fine. But you guys are here, and I respect the hustle that you want to do. And so that's where I'm coming from. Okay. So a little bit about who I am before we start. I think it's important to know who I am because everyone is different in this process. This is the whole point. We're building a brand. So we're all building individual brands. If you don't know where I'm coming from, then you might not know how you're going to relate to my experience and what I've seen. Or it might be the complete opposite if you do a totally different type of music than I do, or if you do a totally different type of goal. So I'm just telling you a little bit about who I am. I'm a professional jazz vocalist in Detroit for 5, almost 6 years now, and I do other work teaching, arranging, producing, and I do social media work for others as well. This is kind of how I got into this and experimenting with my stuff and also some other clients that I've had. My timeline, kind of how I got to this part of my life. I was born in Grand Rapids, in Michigan, and I was raised in Northeast Ohio from ages 5 to 18. So I grew up around there, but all my family's in Michigan. Then I went to college in Ohio. I did a music and economics degree. I was super lost trying to figure out everything, and I didn't know what to do. So I went to a liberal arts college that offered a lot of things. Settled on music and econ. My parents moved to Milford in 2018, and that's how I ended up in this area. In 2018, I found Scott's Camp, and that tied together so many loose ends, people like April, and a bunch of others that were seeing what I had already done so far and helped me kind of go into this route. I graduated 2019. I came back and then pursued music, pursuing the grind. COVID happened. I practiced a lot during COVID. And then in 2021, I started working. So I am kind of learning this all just alongside you guys, is kind of my point here. And also so you can get to know me just a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to start off with my favorite quote that someone told me once, and I put some nice background behind it that ended up way more blurry than I wanted. This was something that a teacher said to me once, and it honestly changed everything. And at first I'm like, I think it was maybe 2017 or 2018, and this teacher told me this, and I was almost a little bit like put off, like, what do you mean no one cares? But then it was totally turned on me to think, well, no one cares but me. I'm the only one who cares about where I'm going with this. So back before I had any gig, any music out, anything, a website, a business card, nothing, just an idea or just a pipe dream, then it really laid on me to decide, to do this. And I hope this also inspires you, because you guys are all in control of where you want to be in your music career. Okay. All right, so here's a couple of pictures of things that I've done so far. Numbers are numbers. Some numbers that I have are, I guess, bigger than others, and some aren't, nothing. I don't want you to compare those things. I just want to show you what I have so far. So this is my YouTube channel. This is my email list. This is my website. This is my calendar. This is my Spotify. This is my Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and my 2 websites. So it's not to be overwhelming, but just giving you an idea of what I have, so you didn't have to do the homework of like looking at all my stuff. Okay, so why is this important? First, I want you guys to all take just a couple seconds of why is this important to you, and I'm gonna actually stop here for just a moment, and I want to ask maybe 1 or 2 people just to put it out there in the class. Why did you come to this today? Why is this important to you, to learn about this? Does anyone wave your hand or raise your hand just to put it out there so we can talk about it a little bit? Mike? Yeah?
Yeah, sure. Ever since I started working on my own stuff, like just my own self-awareness, I've always been into music since I was little. I've always sung, learned how to play instruments because I wanted to be in band when I was in high school, all that stuff. And now that I'm later in life and have gotten into a better place just as a human being, realizing that music is way more important to me than I previously thought. And I started taking lessons from you, and discovered that jazz was really best suited for my voice. And since then, I've I've been doing the jazz jam, been enjoying that. Thank you, Scott. And I also just joined a rock band recently. So I'm just putting myself out there musically in a way that I haven't before. And so when I saw that you were having this class, I was like, you know what? I could always use some instruction, some guidance on how to fine tune who I am as a musician. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. How about one other person? Just, why are you here? April?
Olivia, I'm amazed at how you manage everything and how you handle all the platforms. It's very impressive, your online footprint. And so I'm interested on how you manage it, what kind of time you have to put in, what kind of homework you have to do.
All right. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna continue on. Thank you for sharing. I think we can all agree that both of those points are of interest to a lot of people. All right. So now continuing on. So that's why it's important to you. I'm going to outline 3 reasons why I think that talking about this is important to me and should be important to everyone. Your music deserves to be heard. Period. If you believe in it, then it deserves to be heard. I ran into a problem, not a problem, but a question where someone answered with this, and it was whether or not to invest in a promoter for my recent album. And I was talking to actually another mogul of the area, RJ Spangler, and he said, "Do you want your music to be heard?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And it just depends on how much work you want to put into it. But I think if you are making music and art, it deserves to be heard. The second reason why I think this is really important is that every little success is because of a connection. Why limit the number of possible connections and therefore possible successes? That's, I think, really important because just like we never know why going to a jam session might help us meet that one person that asks us to do a really cool opportunity, same thing goes for the world of social media, and it's just balancing the real world stuff with the social media online stuff. The third reason is because these tools, other than this is different than the in-person stuff, these tools can work for you when you're off the clock. You don't have to go to party and jam and show and this and spend all this money when you have these other tools that could work for you when you're off the clock, meaning people can find you and stumble upon you when you're sleeping or when you're, working on other stuff. So that's why I think 3 really big reasons why this is important to me. Okay. Oh yeah, I have a restaurant analogy that I came up with earlier today. That was my note to say this. In case you still aren't necessarily swayed into how important this is, I want you to think about when you decide to go to a restaurant and you maybe pull up Google Maps, Apple Maps, or any other kind of search engine for a restaurant. So if you look up the restaurants and you click on a restaurant and there's no website under where it says website, does that change whether or not you're interested in going to that restaurant? If you click on the restaurant, maybe a different one, and there's no pictures, does that honestly change how you might think about it? If you click on the website and the last blog entry or article was from 2020, do you even think that this restaurant is open anymore? Probably not. And so it's kind of the same thing where we want to, keep our stuff relevant, because if we're not at least a little bit relevant, then people might think we're not doing it anymore, or they might be confused at whether or not we're even doing it at all. So I think that's another important thing. All right. This is my before you brand checklist. That is important. So I want everyone to mentally answer these questions in your head. Not all of these have to be the biggest yes and the biggest comfortability to start doing this, but if you have a bunch of no's as answers to these questions, I might think about whether or not you're ready to take on, putting all of this, stuff out there. So my first checklist question is, do I have the goods to sell? Doesn't mean listen, this doesn't mean am I a perfect musician and I'm ready to put the perfect thing out there, because obviously we're not. And I didn't feel that way when I started. But do I have, this is as simple as, do I have songs to sing in videos? Do I have pictures to share? Do I have ideas of what I want to be doing? Because if not, then a lot of these things that you would be making are just generic social media things that might seem confusingly connected to a personal account. You know, and so this is just, you know, do you feel ready? Do you have an idea of what kind of goods you're trying to, quote, sell? Do I have all my other stuff together? This could mean a lot of things. Is there, you know, do you have time in the real world to practice and to keep your other work, you know, together? If you have other things going on, then you might not have all of your stuff together, and it might not be time yet. And I put stuff, you know, in quotes because it's kind of a question. Don't think too critically about, but ask yourself really, like, do I have my stuff together? Another checklist thing I want you to think about is, do I already make an honest effort to network in person? This is big. If the answer is no, I highly, highly suggest that in-person networking is number one before you start to put things out there. Because if not, then you're going to be the guy who's, or gal, who's chronically online and no one ever even knows if they exist. And I can honestly think of a couple people that I've seen just like popping around, and I'm like, I've never seen this person before at anything. And not that I'm everywhere, but just in general, if you don't make an honest effort to network even in a small community in person, then it'll probably be difficult to have longevity with your online presence, and you might even lean a little bit too hard into that. And this just goes to say that all of this takes a lot of courage and a lot of, you know, a lot of strength and a lot of work. But like I said, everyone can do this. So, am I excited to present my work and create a user-friendly way for people to connect with me? This is, I wanted to bold excited. Am I excited about it? Because again, if you're not, if you're dreading this, if you hate this, and I know so many people who do, and they tell me, and I'm like, that's, you know, what am I going to do about that? If you're not excited to do this, then you don't have to. Then just log out and that's fine. And so if you're excited, then check that. And then my final question is this the right time? And that's all kind of the other stuff that I was talking about. Is this the right time in my, you know, career? I would say if you feel like you've started to have a vision, then it's the right time. If you don't have any idea, then it's probably not the right time. Okay, moving on. I just want to stop here, just make sure, check in with everyone. Does anyone have any questions? Just waiting a second. No? Okay, all right. Never mind. Oh, wait. Hold on. I meant to do this. Okay. There we go. All right. So we're going to get started. This is, now that we're ready to take this on, I have 5 steps. I made these up. Define, gather, build, share, and then plan. These are my 5 steps that I think directly relate to my story of how I came to be as present as I am. So now make sure, if you haven't been taking notes, this is the part where I'm going to ask you guys to brainstorm. And if you don't have your own project, or if you're not, you know, here to work on your musicianship, or you're just, you know, here to observe, I still want you to think of some questions. But first, we're going to start off with step 1, define. This is questions like, what is my brand? Who am I? What is the meaning of all this? What do I want to give others? Okay. I want you guys to define what is already true. not who you want to be in 10 years, not who you think you be, not defining some other person that you like. Oh, did I hear a question? No? Okay. All right, never mind. So I want everyone to take a second and jot down some adjectives that have to do with the genre of your music. And I'm actually going to do it with you right now. So I'm going to do about 1 minute on the clock. It can be adjectives that are broad or specific about the genre. All right, continue on. Keep going on that. I don't know what that was. And just a couple more seconds. Jotting down. And stop. All right, I put vocal jazz, swing, bebop. I put fun. I put Great American Songbook. I put popular music. I put musical theater, improv, and small group. That was my genre stuff. I will ask some people to share once we're done with a couple of these other ones, but let's continue on. I would like now to take a minute, and I want you to write down some words that come up when you think about the attitude or personality. And this is, think about it like it's your take on this genre, your specific attitude, and how your personality might stand out from whatever the genre is that you thought of. So doing 1 minute. I know this one's a little bit harder. And I encourage you guys, even though I'm stopping the clock now, I'm encouraging you guys to revisit these things. This is you could probably meditate on every one of these parts for a couple minutes, but I'm just going to stop you for the, for the time being. And I'll say that I put words like playful, slightly original, creative, knowledgeable, community, youthful, and inclusive. That's what I put for mine. Next one, but a minute on the clock for the message. Now, what would be the message that you are trying to send? This is now we're getting a little vague, but it's all to get yourself brainstorming of, for example, one of my messages might be that I would like to spread traditional music and standards and keep that music being played. Your message can be something totally different, especially if you have a different genre. So a minute on the clock for that. All right, I'm gonna stop you guys right there. I know I could even keep thinking about this too. And I also want you guys to revisit these things as time goes by because things can change. So I wrote something like, uh, I I want the audience to feel like they receive a message that I wrote vocal improv is cool. I wrote uh, attentiveness and listening. You know, a lot of these are really vague. I was just thinking, like, what kind of messages come out? Uh, and you know, this could be messages like being unique is encouraged. It's definitely one for me. You know, sharing my feelings is big. I'm just gonna stop myself there. I keep thinking about this. All right, the next one I want you to think about, big buzzword, aesthetic. And I don't mean like, you know, anything crazy. I just mean think about what your music looks like. And this could be styles, as in like, I thought about, you know, when I first did my first album, what font did I like? You know, what could I equate it to other kinds of styles? Could I equate it to maybe some language that's used in the art, like the art world? What am I trying to say? Like paintings and stuff. What colors come to mind? What vibes come to mind? So a minute on that. And it should be normal that parts of your personality should be coming out as you're writing this, especially if your music is very personal and it's not, you know, another group's endeavor. But if it is, I want you to think about it from that point of view as well. All right. Oh. All right, stopping you on that one. So I wrote the colors that I like to see are the cool tones. So blue, black, purple, green. You know, I'm obviously thinking on my vocal jazz doing standards. That's all the vintage vibes. I could start naming some style icons that I've had. And then I wrote, you know, old Broadway, but not cheesy is also what I wrote. Okay. And the last one is your audience. Take a minute on this. This I think is actually the hardest one. It was the hardest one for me when I've done this before. But try your best, be specific, be broad, think about who those people are and what they also like and any other traits. So take a minute. Okay. That's a minute on that. And I actually lied. There's one more, which is other comparisons. So just take a couple seconds, not quite a minute, but take a couple seconds to write down some people who are doing what you like, what you're trying to do, basically. And it's been said before, especially when talking about improv, is that no one's making up anything that's new. So stealing, in a sense, is not so much a bad thing, because we're all kind of doing it in one way or another, and finding inspiration on what other people do. So write down some comparisons of people that you may know, or that you might know from online, that you think are doing a really good job of what you're trying to do. I'll just give you, well, like 15 more seconds on that. And they don't have to be doing super well on social media. I mean, you know, but they could. That could also be a something that you look up to them, but we're still thinking about your brand. Okay. All right, so let's stop there. And I'm going to stop the share. And I'm wondering if maybe one person could share some of the words that especially they came up with in the first couple questions. I know this is a little bit like on the spot, but is there anyone that would be willing to share? If not, that's okay. I can share mine.
I can share, Olivia.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Allison
sure.
Donahue. I don't know why I'd sing Allison. Isn't that friendly?
Oh, okay.
I don't know why, just the first name. But so on attitude, is that okay? Is that one?
Yeah, sure. Please.
Upbeat, connect, and then maybe even spiritual in a kind of subconscious way.
Okay. I really like those words. What did you put for the one before, so your genre, so then we can maybe see how those might relate?
That's kind of a quandary I have right now, because it's really mixed. It's so mixed.
Okay.
To try to get down into a focus. My situation is what I'm looking for going forward is really doing a lot of the things I haven't been able to do in the past, because I have a classical and pop and all this kind of thing, very mixed background. So I want to do all those things. So I'm trying to figure out how to piece all that together.
Sure.
It's very unfocused, and that's kind of the point. So
Got it. Yeah, so that's good though. Writing all of those down, because you don't know how those might all combine in the future. And I really like how you used a word like spiritual, because I think that's a very personable word that you're going to be able to use to your advantage. In terms of, like, I want to call it the angle. Like, if we're calling it from a business point of view, this is your angle on something that, is relatable. And I find that I'm already interested. See, it worked. What about if you didn't have anything else to add to that? I was wondering what Janine was going to say.
Well, it's interesting, because now that I'm retired, I really want to kind of get into playing music. And my husband keeps saying that I should learn this and I should learn that and I should learn that. And who am I? I'm a jazz pianist. I'm not a country singer. I'm not a pop singer. I'm a jazz pianist. I like to sing. I like to share my music, my attitude, fun, open-minded, social, creative, and sincere. So, I think I need to be true to who I am and not try and reinvent myself,
Yes, I so agree. And that doesn't mean that you can't change, but this was, a part of it that I really wanted you to be introspective of who you are, because that's going to be the least scattered way that then you can start to market yourself. And then if you change, I mean, we know so many people who are changing their style. I can think of a couple who are like, whoa, they're just changing their style like crazy. And Mike is, and that's okay. And as long as it's cohesive and makes sense as you're presenting it, then you won't have a problem with that. But let's start with who you are now, and then react instead of act on something that's not even happening yet. So I really love that. Okay, gonna continue on for the time being, and we're gonna go on to step 2. Step 2 is gathering. So we got our tools, our resources, our material, and quote content. You know, I'm not saying that we're me, you, anything. We are musicians first. We're not content creators. It's not our job, but we are going to be creating content based off of our music for people to connect with. And I think that's important. I'm still going to use that word, even though it's a buzzword. All right. So before, you know, I didn't do this before, but now I do, which is make sure that I have everything organized before I try to make things, whether it's try to make posts or bigger videos that are, you know, without knowing where I'm grabbing my material from. So this is, I want you to take time to gather recordings, any recordings, organize them on your computer, put them in files. That way, as you come up with ideas for posts, you can just grab them. Videos, that's big. I mean, some of the biggest things that are shared right now are things on Instagram and TikTok that are either called Reels or, you know, on TikTok, they're just called TikToks. But that's all video visual stuff. So videos, photos too, bios, sit down, write your bio. You know, this is also, you can use your sheet that you use right now to come up with some words that are unique to your bio. So you don't just say, my name is Olivia and I'm a singer and I have something unique to add, but I don't know what it is. So, you know, use your true unique words that you came up with to write your bios. I highly suggest putting those in a Google Doc. So then you just have them, because we're also investing in the future. All of these organizational tools are investing yourself into the future. So if so-and-so asks you, hey, I got a lead for a gig, can you send me any of your materials? Boom, you're done. So we're also doing ourselves a favor. This is also goes for any quotes or articles that you have think of anything that anyone ever really said about you in anything, if you have those resources or if you've done that before. I would also try to gather emails and information about your existing fans if you already have a fan following. This is important because one of the things that I do is I make a email newsletter, and so you got to gather that, put it in I do everything on Google, so I put it in my Google Sheets, is like the Excel version for Google, and so then I have the name and the email, because if you just put it into, you know, MailChimp or whatever, what if they lose that information? You want to have that information, and then that way, you know, it's all organized. I think part of staying sane when trying to take on the task of social media and internet networking is making sure that you stay sane, and part of it is making sure you're organized. Then I want to emphasize creating a cohesive email and social media profiles that have the same or similar username to what you're trying to network and connect those all together. And that, you know, that's, I don't want to say that's like a deal breaker, but I think it's a very helpful thing to have. So if you're able to do that, and then now you have all of your tools to hold on, sorry. Okay, now you have all your tools to go down to step 3, which is to build. So now we're putting it all together. So we have all 6 of these things that I have are kind of my regularly updated things that I use online. So I have a website. I build my own website. I have a domain that I bought through Squarespace, which is one of the many website builders. I know Jeff makes websites, Jeff Dunn, who's in the group today. A lot of people do different ways to it. I am definitely not the expert in how to do all this stuff, but I learn, I look up things all the time. I also want to say that I look up things all the time. What's a blank? What's a this? Speaking of, what's an EPK? I had no idea. It's an electronic press kit, which can take on many forms. It can take on the form of a website. It can take on the form of a file. It can take on so many forms, but that's what people are going to ask you for. So why not build it? It's essentially a musical resume. And it's just a fancy, I guess, industry word for it. So that make sure you're hip to that. The next is, if your music is on any streaming profiles, put all of those photos that you have, your most recent photos, make everything the same photo, so that it all is cohesive and makes sense. Just like we said about the restaurant, if we look on the restaurant and their logo on Google or whatever is totally different and looks so weirdly different than any of your other things, you might think you're looking at a different restaurant. I know I've definitely thought that, been like, oh wait, is this a different restaurant? Oh, we'll go to this one or whatever. You just don't want to confuse people. We're trying to make things as easy as possible for people, while also, satisfying our own needs for organization. This goes for social media profiles and building social media content, and like I said, email lists. So I just said the word social media a lot. Social media is the elephant in the room, and I know that. So all I ask, I'm going to finish up the next 2 pages or the next 2 steps. I will address all of the social media questions later. Please just hold, like, if you have a specific question on what is this about Instagram, what is this about TikTok, what is this about Facebook, let's just hold that for a second. I'm going to go through the rest of the steps and then we can talk about it, because I know that's probably the biggest question, but I sincerely believe that if I just started off talking to you about how to use Instagram, then you would probably leave a little bit more discouraged than if you felt capable, because this packet right here, or this paper that you filled out, is all that you need. You just proved yourself. You're more than capable of having something to market. Now we have to organize it and then put it out there. So step 4 out of 5 of my steps that I made is share. So once you build it, you got to share it. First, like I said, it can work on its own, but it's not going to unless people actually know that it exists. So you want to get attention for what you built. Use what you made as resources for all of your in-person networking opportunities. I think this is the easiest way to feel like this work is worth it. If you are thinking that you need to be viral, or if you have to have a certain amount of listens or views or whatever, then you are going to feel like you're investing for nothing, and that this is stupid, and you're going to end up like the other people that I hear about, boycott everything. And I think that if you can see the immediate change, I saw an immediate change when I was talking to people who book, who refer, who, fans. Once I started telling people, I'm a local jazz vocalist. Actually, you can check out my website. Actually, you can check out my CD. Actually, you can check out this. And then, whether it's just giving them the username or, the whatever, especially this goes for if you want any fan that's Gen Z or millennial or, younger, then this is just something that they're going to ask for. Oh, what's your Instagram? What's your Facebook? At least make your email list and then send an email. I use MailChimp. I know Jeff told me a while ago that it stops you at 500, but like I showed you, I have 160 emails. So I'm not quite sure yet. I might change, but I haven't learned about the other possibilities. Send an email. Say, hi, my name is Olivia. Or not, they would know. Hi, it's Olivia. I just made a new Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube channel. Check it out. Then when you built your YouTube channel, you have to share the videos. This next thing I already said, when pitching or negotiating, use your EPK immediately to market yourself, because then people will say, okay, great, I'll just check that out on my own time. Tell people at your shows about all the new stuff. Hey guys, so excited to play some music for you. We have a whole awesome set coming up. But beforehand, I just want to let you know we've been cooking up a lot of really cool stuff on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. So you can follow us there and you can check out. We even have our one new YouTube video that's on there is the song that we're about to do right now. All right, let's get started. whatever. And then don't be afraid to ask friends, family, and supporters to kickstart the following and liking of these materials. Again, if someone, think about someone else that you care about who's a musician. If they asked you to do that, would you look at them and go like, you stupid? Like, no, you would say, of course, I would love to. And so I think reversing that for a second, makes it a little bit more possible and maybe less nerve-wracking of putting yourself out there. Then the final final step, and then I want to answer some questions, is to plan. So what's next? This is, I think April was saying, what's realistic? How can you sustain this? How much time and homework goes into this? And I'm going to answer honestly, like I said, it's a lot of work. But I do this full time, and I am borderline obsessive over making things a certain way, and I can't stop myself sometimes. So I would say realistically, if you can spend an hour of your day a couple times a week, at least at first, it will be like a lot of work to organize, especially if your computer is a mess or if your videos are everywhere. But an hour or so, think about as much time that you spend scrolling, and instead of scrolling, do this. I don't really spend too much time on social media unless I'm doing my own stuff, which was a nice hack too. Then create a calendar of what you might want to do, and then adjust. And then I think this is important. See what works well, and then do more of that. Don't overcomplicate it. For me, and I can show you this if people are interested, on my Instagram, I basically have like 4 types of posts. I have a video of me singing something, or maybe like a transcription or something. That's more of like the, relevant musical content. Then I have promotional things that I will use if I have an upcoming important gig, photos of gigs that have happened. And I would say the 4th is every now and then a personal thing. Yeah, I'm gonna just stop because we have like 35 more minutes. So before I address, oh yes, I can also help. So I do this for people. I do social media work for people, and if you feel really lost, I can also help. That's my email. But before we do the elephant in the room, all the social media stuff, just want to stop for a second and ask if anyone has a question about those 5 steps. And I don't know, just to take a pause so I don't bulldoze over any questions.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What do you think about making your SoundCloud profile?
That's a good question. So I don't, and this brings up a really good point. If you find music a certain way, also hold on. Let me just change this so I don't have stripes on me. If you don't find music a certain way, then you feel like your followers are like you, then they might not find it a certain way. So I don't find a lot of the music that I listen to on SoundCloud. So I don't really think about it as a resource, because if the people who are going to listen to me might be like me, then, they might not use it. But I know a ton of other types of music, not so much jazz, but maybe, modern contemporary styles. Obviously, like SoundCloud is like stereotypically for like hip hop rap artists. SoundCloud rapper was like when I was younger. But I think it's changed into a more user-friendly website, and it also, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't cost anything. And so yeah, and I might even have a very old SoundCloud site that I might still have stuff on. But do you use it? Do you like it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just starting, but I'm putting a few my recordings on there, like MP3s from my electronic piano.
Yeah.
So if not SoundCloud, could I do it somewhere else?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you could You could do it in so many ways. I think because SoundCloud is, like, to me, a little bit messier of a like a hybrid between streaming and, like, because I know they have like the reposting option and stuff like that. It's almost like a like a everlasting feed of music. If you're on it, then if you don't find that people are finding it on there, and you would rather use something else that you can refer people to listen to. So if you don't mind me asking, what genre is your music?
Yeah, I'm taking lessons with Scott and jazz.
Okay.
But it could be it could be more creative in different ways too.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So then if you want to put what I would call then demos, I would call what you're saying demos of a couple of things of you playing, but it's maybe not produced or recorded in a studio and then mixed, mastered, and then ready for commercial release, then I would use YouTube. Actually, I would maybe, if you have a software where you can put your music recordings to a video, maybe a picture of you, or like a poorly, not poorly, oh my god, like a amateur design. This is what I do. I use an app called Canva. I have the pro version, but you can use it for free. And I amateurly design so much of my graphics. I would put a picture of me. If I were you, I'd put a picture of you. And I would use Canva Pro actually has this thing where you can do remove background. So I remove the background, so it's just a nice picture of you. Pick a color that fits your vibe, and then pick a font that also fits the vibe, and have that be in Canva too. You can put YouTube thumbnail or YouTube size, and then in a program, I use iMovie. You could put your recording over that picture, upload it as a video, because YouTube is like, if someone sends me a YouTube link, I'm not like, oh, I wonder if I could open this. Like, I think we can all agree, if someone sends you a YouTube link, it's pretty like universally used as a way to share. That's what I would do. Does that seem like a good idea?
Yeah, I like that idea. Do you have YouTube examples that are almost like, I know
Let's see.
there's like for
You
more
know what?
electronic music, like fancy colors that like go with the music.
Oh, the thing. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. It's like the old yeah, I know what you're talking about. That would be really cool too, actually. No, I'm just thinking of you know, I don't have, none of my videos have that. But like, for example, let's see. Okay, so for example, and this isn't public and it's not super clear on my phone, but I'm just going to show you. I have a video that I was using to send to people to book a show that I do, that's a duet show with another singer named Ruben. And so I made this, it's kind of hard to see from here, but I made this. So it's a picture of us that I edited. I put the nice font and I put who's playing, and then it does turn into a video. But if I were you and I only had audio, I would make some sort of clean thing like this, that something to look at, so it's not just a blank screen. That could just be your name and the title of the song. Very easy demo. That way, whatever you're trying to share it with, you could also like curate it to, whatever you're trying to share it with. So if you have a gig that, I don't know if you said you're a piano player, maybe you're trying to get a solo piano gig at a classic Italian restaurant and they want to hear you play some standard, then you could make that whole image based off of the gig and then put that on YouTube. You could even use YouTube, and like I said, that one is private because I was using it to book gigs, not to share with people. That's another thing. And then that way it's also all organized in, I don't know, it's also because I like YouTube. So it's really what you like. If you like SoundCloud, then, and you feel like the people that you're trying to market to could open it and easily you know, access it. And especially if you think that the people would like it better, then use it. But YouTube is just so universal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree. YouTube is more universal, so I just would want to make something that doesn't seem like I'm doing a video and I just have piano audio with like a static picture, and I don't want it to seem lame like that. But if I feel good
Yeah.
about that issue, then yeah, YouTube
I
would.
think you could feel really good. I mean, think about what you um uh think about what you would. I think I'm going to leave you with one thing. It's that I want you to think about what you personally would find you know, easy to understand. And if you don't like the look of it, then change it and do it a different way. But if you don't find if you're not gonna have a problem with someone sending you a static photo with audio, then why would anyone else have a problem with it? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think I'll leave you with that.
Yeah, I will agree with that because I actually listen to YouTube like so much, and I don't care about the video. So if more people
Right.
are like that, that really helps.
And then you don't even need the video if you don't have. I know I waited for a long time to put out videos because I didn't like the quality of what I was trying to record on because I had like a really old iPhone, and now the iPhones are really nice to record on. So good question. Does anyone
Yeah,
have
thank you
any
so
other
much.
questions? Yeah, of course. Any other questions? Yes?
I have a question, actually. So I am a student, so I am decently busy. I, of course, still work on my craft and all of that, but I can't always go out and do as much gigs as I would like, so I can't always maybe post as often as I would like about that sort of thing. Is there anything you would recommend for situations like that?
Yeah, well, there's so many types of things that you can post about. And this maybe leads me to the next thing I was going to share. And there's only two more slides that I was going to share before opening it up even further. So if you don't mind, I'm going to just show you those two, and then we can expand upon it because it's kind of about the question of what do you post about and how you might go about that. So we'll get back to that. Don't worry, Ella, but
Yeah.
just go to that. Okay. So I just wanted to say, in case people aren't aware, is that I consider the big three. This is why I push YouTube as well. I didn't even think about SoundCloud. Facebook and Instagram are the big two social medias where you're going to have a mix of so many people. You're going to have people with personal profiles mixing with professional profiles. And the good news is that they've merged into something called Meta. So you can make it where the post that you put on Instagram also gets posted to Facebook if you hook it up that way. I don't always recommend doing that because then you might have a post that's very friendly for Instagram and then one that maybe looks a little messy on Facebook, but kind of what Ella was saying of maybe not having enough time to do something. This is a really easy way, especially if you're making really basic content like video and photo. This is a easy way to think about it. Then YouTube, which I put in parentheses, belongs to Google. Then there's the extras. This is your TikTok and your X, which is formerly known as Twitter. I don't spend a lot of time on these two. I only use, this is kind of what Ella was asking, I'm hoping this kind of answers the question, is that I will capitalize as much as I can on one thing. So, for example, I just had a gig last week at Shields in Southfield. I did it with pianist Mike Harrison. I went over to his house. We had a rehearsal. We're just playing. And I thought, hey, do you have time to do a quick video? So we made a quick video. And you can see it fills up. I highly recommend whenever you're shooting video for Instagram or TikTok or Facebook for it to be portrait mode, as in, not landscape, because then it's going to fill up the whole phone. Video of us singing a song, posted it on Instagram, used the editing functions on that app because the app likes it when you use the editing functions on there. Put, you know, the song with Mike Harrison for this gig, caption, here's the gig, there we go. Then same video, easy peasy, on TikTok, boom, barely did anything. Facebook, I actually what I did was I went on YouTube, I made it a short, which is their way of trying to be hip, like Instagram using Reels and TikTok, making TikToks. Then I made it a short that's about 15 seconds long, a little blip, shared that link to Facebook because Facebook does like YouTube links. And when I say they like it, it's what I've noticed. So this is a part of the trial and error part. And also there might be different aspects and different communities of these social medias that are different. This is just for my followers, jazz fans, whatever these people are. There are also numerous other profiles that you might have, your streaming profile. There are event sharing websites and other types of places where you might be present, LinkedIn type of stuff, right? Professional pages and in whatever you're trying to do. And then the other page that I wanted to go over, which might maybe answer a couple questions, and then I'll finish answering Ella's question, is what not to do with social media. There's so many things to do, which is kind of my point, and I hope is inspiring rather than frustrating, because I don't think there's one perfect way or perfect kind of post or whatever. So that's when you can really get creative. We're all creative here. We're all creators, music. But I find there's a couple things not to do. Don't post messy content. Messy content, we know what it looks like. It's the Instagram post where they try to post about the festival, or not the festival, maybe Jeff didn't do this because he's got the vibe down, but what if he posted on Instagram and it looked like this and it cut off all the words? People do that. They don't think about it. Or even if it's a little off to the side and it looks like something's cut off. I don't know. I find it to be like pretty obvious to me if something is if something is messy or if it looks clean. Don't post just to post. So maybe this is answering your question, Ella, where maybe you're not at the point yet where you have enough things to post about. That's okay too. Your page can still exist. I think personally, if you have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram and Facebook being the two big social medias, if you post once every 2 weeks, because that's really all that you're doing right now with your music, that's fine. I don't subscribe to, looking up when's the best time to post, how many, I should post once or twice, this is all for you to experiment. But remember, at first, we're trying to just make it so we have content and stuff to share with our in-person networking. I would say don't blend your personal pages with professional too much. That doesn't mean you can't post. Like I post pictures of, my dog on my music business page. But some people will blend it completely. So that's why I recommend making a Facebook music page and then putting a lot of that stuff on there, trying to drive traffic there. And then I know as musicians and jazz musicians, we use Facebook to network a lot, but if you have a lot going on, if you're trying to post, especially on Instagram, if I have my, on my Instagram, if every other post was like, I don't know, like a restaurant that I went to or something, it might be like, oh, is this a restaurant review page or a music page? I don't know. Don't get aggressive. Nobody wants to be forced to follow anything or whatever. So I would invite people to follow these things at first, and then just let the chips fall where they may. So yeah, now specific questions. I want to Chris said something important. Audio is most important. Hear your sound. Video pic. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, what Ella was saying though, if you feel like you're not doing a lot right now and you don't know what to post, this could be opportunity to still work on your goods that you want to sell, practice, all of those things. And then as you feel that they're ready, making a a post about, I know you're a singer, so you know, play guitar and sing on a song you feel really good about. Don't try, oh my gosh, this is another thing. Don't try to make the post that you make, if you post anything that's content-wise with video or audio of you playing, don't try to make it the craziest thing that you've ever learned and you just learned it yesterday. Because then you know what you're going to end up with. Like, your entire phone is going to be full with every 5-second take that you started with and then you messed up and you hated, and then you're going to get so frustrated. So pick a song that you love to sing, and then and that you think you do really well, and that is, you know, pertinent right now, and start with that. That's what actually I started with. I had a little part in my room. You know, I recommend picking one spot that might be your spot that you showcase what you're playing if you're going to make some at-home videos. Doesn't have to be a whole studio. It can just be your iPhone. I used to set it up. I used to put a stack of books and set it up that way. You know, I would play guitar or piano and sing something, and also kind of make it all the same. I would put the same filter on it, which was a nice hack to make it all look the same, even if it was different times of the day or if I look different. And then, yeah, and I actually, let me show you a couple examples. And I'm going to share my page to you. Let's go here. Okay. So here is my Instagram. And it's been a minute since I've done my at-home video, so I'm going to scroll down to that. But here is the room that I'm in right now. So you see it's the same background here and here. I was doing transcriptions. So I have this transcription. I have an app that I was able to put the record. I think that looks good. This is all just, what do you think looks good? I don't know. I copied doing that from someone else too. I just liked how it looked. So I have that. And then a couple back then I have singing a verse. There's a function that I think looks good where you can put the text, it'll transcribe it, which is like really cool. And you know, I had to edit it just a little bit, but that was a Instagram thing. And then a couple more you can see right here. It's the same room. I use nice lighting. And I was going to say, someone else that I actually found huge inspiration from is a person who was someone I looked up to and then became a friend, which is a singer named Katie George. And I think she has got it down. So you can see every video that she does is in the same place. If she's doing a transcription or, you know, she does a lot of vocalises. And so she puts, sometimes she puts the words, she didn't do it this time, but it's all in the same place. And look at this too. If I were to say what's her vibe, she's got bright colors, lots of like cream color type of stuff. She's not trying to go hard on like the vintage look. She looks like she's got modern, I would say classy. I would say, you know, there's a lot of nice smiling, smirking pictures, and sprinkled in are those that I was talking about. And you know, those are stuff that you can just do at home. Does that answer your question, Ella? I just went on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that answers everything I was thinking about. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Does anyone have any other questions? Yes. Hi. Oh wait, you're still muted.
Sorry,
Oh,
just
there we
working
go.
out how I had to change onto a phone because my laptop died. I wanted to talk
Oh.
about your EPK and how you structure that, because putting together an EPK is like, it just sounds awful.
Okay, yeah, totally. Let's go to that. Thank you for asking, because I was gonna go through everything that I've made, and it just, you know, there's too much. Oh, wait, this is Canva. Let's go to, oh, I don't have it open. Let's go to my website, which I'll get to the EPK in a second. Let me actually show you this Canva. This is my, if you'll recognize, I have so many drafts of things that I've made for everything. And I use this and it is my favorite thing to use. It makes me pretend I'm a little graphic designer. I even have my stuff for the, you know, the band that I do social media work for. Can't recommend enough. It's kind of addicting. All right, I formatted my EPK on my website. So you go to my website and click EPK. And I included first, right off the bat, small bio. Then scroll down, I have embedded both albums that I've done. You can scroll within it, but I like how it's nice and small. And my favorite picture is this one, that's from my recent album. Then I have immediately notable venues that I've performed at, and another short bio that's the one that I'll copy paste for venues. Then I have some pictures, some I actually want to update. And these are ones that I will also have in a file that is readily available, because I haven't figured out how to make them downloadable from the website. But then when I send over the link to the EPK, and it's a venue that I'm already like thinking I'm going to be working with, that I have links to, you know, or not links, I have downloadable versions of these pictures that are included. Then I have articles that are linked embedded, which is nice. I figured out how to do. I have some reviews. I have my social media links. I have radio play, which has changed. I actually got to update that because since I hired the promoter for my last album, now it's too many, so I probably won't even feature this part of it. You know, as things change, then what's important is going to change as well. Then finally, I have my extended bio, some other photos. Jeff Dunn, shout out. And I think that's it. I know some people like to get really fancy, but to me, it seemed like the best stuff to do is what the venue's already asking for. And just making it super easy. And I think some bigger acts have private EPKs that are like, you can make it so on your website you have like a private link, but I don't know. I don't feel like it's anything crazy. It's just all organized. Does that make sense?
Certainly, that's good.
Awesome, thank
Excellent.
you.
Like I know, like a few people I know use Dropbox, so they'll send a Dropbox link which has songs, photographs, stage plots, lighting stuff, like all of that stuff in it. But that just, I wasn't sure if that was an EPK or if that's too much, you know, too much to put, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, and I find that actually less and less people are asking me for that in particular, but because it is such an industry word, I still use it. And I find that sometimes using it helps then create this like, okay, yeah, so she knows what that is. So we're talking the same language. And then it's just for me organized, you know, what I think have been the biggest questions that people ask and what's the easiest way for them to find me. And then all the rest of the stuff, you know, is really depending on the gig, and they'll ask me, you know, for those types of things.
Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, you had something? Oh, you're muted.
There we go.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Usually what I do in addition to EPKs is, as a part of that, I'll have a zip file of high-res photos that you want to, and this is really for venues, high-res photos and a bio zip together that they can get off the website really quick. That usually helps them if they've hired you and they want to start using the materials.
Right. Yeah. And I find it's like, well, really what this isn't like a fancy way to get more gigs. It's just to like make the people who are hiring you just like you even more because you already have everything organized. And so, yeah, I mean, I might even ask you to like say that one more time because I want to figure out, are you saying you are embedding a zip file, or I guess I haven't figured out how to use Squarespace to do that.
Let me take a look. I'll do that and I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, because I also, yeah, there's so many things. This is the thing. don't get overwhelmed, because getting overwhelmed doesn't help at all. And if you can only do a couple of these things, or if you're not trying to gig hardcore, then maybe you don't even have to do an EPK. But, you know, assuming that you are, and you might as well just put it all in one place, then yeah. Cool. Oh, yes.
Yeah, just a couple of comments. The importance of networking, and I've watched you do it. And I think that really also shows up in your social media, especially on Instagram. And I think there's two things. One is you promote other people's stuff, and as a result, other people promote you. And that's
Okay, that's actually
I think that's
yeah.
I think that's huge, because then their following becomes your following, right? And then, you know, and then in between, maybe there's people who don't have a whole lot of, you know, videos up yet, or a lot of gigs. But another thing that you do that I think is really cool is that you put up songs from other artists. Maybe it's Ella Fitzgerald or somebody else. And that kind of just supports and sustains your vibe, you know, and the kind of genre that you're working in. And it gets associated with you, I think, in a way that yeah. What?
Oh, I say I didn't even think about that, but that's totally what I'm doing. And I didn't even think about to add that, is that you can then use your social media to connect with and you know, put out get the good karma back, because you're putting out good energy and supporting others. And that actually was something I did a long time ago when, you know, I felt like there was a lot of different jazz vocalists that I really liked, some bigger names and some, you know, other students like me, college aged. And I think it was something like International Women's Day or something. And so there's a lot of female vocalists that I dig hard. And so it wasn't like, oh, this is my evil master plan to get people to follow me. But it was like, you know, why not take this opportunity to, you know, make a post about, you know, here are 15 people that I think are really great, and then not expect anything from it. But then what I've noticed comes from it is like, yeah, and this is another thing, you have to be honest with it. So don't just go and like follow a bunch of people and like a bunch of things and then spam accounts, and then, you know, no one's actually connecting. But if you want to solidify the vibe, like you said, then go find other people just like you. Make sure you connect with them, not just connect, but, you know, comment on, share what they're doing. We're all fighting the same fight, and there's no slice of the pie that's going to shrink if, you know, someone else is getting more. And I totally dig what you just said. Makes a lot of sense.
I have another question about, like, this is about the impact of marketing, because you said there's this, you don't have to worry about the slice of the pie getting like there's not enough. But I wonder if you connect any of the messaging that you said to like greater income, because like having more, like you could be viral, but not translate that into like income and opportunities. So is there like another level of that? Or if you have a solid base, like it helps long term?
Can you ask a more specific question?
Like,
I guess, or rephrase that.
if you do all the marketing right, when does that typically translate to greater income?
Oh gosh, okay. Well, then that's like, you know, I could get an amazing gig just because I showed up to a jam session and talked to a person who introduced me to a guy. So I think it's just so hard. That's why I want to say, don't expect the you know, direct, you know, there might be times where someone says, oh, I found you on Instagram. Like, there's been a couple weddings that I've done where I didn't even market myself to that, but maybe they look up Detroit jazz vocalist and then they find me or whatever, for their cocktail hour. And yeah, I would say that correlates. And if you're doing things and you're not losing money, and not losing sleep and not losing, you know, anything, then you don't have anything to lose, and then anything that you gain is because of it. And you also don't know. This is why I think it's important to put yourself out there, because I think that you're really losing out on the possibility, because someone might still hire you even if you don't have those things. But I can just think of so many people who, you know, would pass on people who aren't present on social media, or would, you know, just not find them as engaging if they can't look up their stuff. I mean, it to me seems like it's a part of the resume now. So if you think about it that way, then there's really no income. And if you're talking about, like, you know, how people make money off of streaming or ads and stuff, that's just such little money. You can't think about it as anything important unless you're really getting up there. I think about it as just extra little pennies to spend at the dollar store. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it seems like the best approach is just getting better with your brand long term, and then like
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
cool.
Any questions?
Any more questions, anybody? Cool. Well, Olivia, that was a very thorough presentation. Really appreciate it on behalf of everyone here and the Michigan Jazz Festival. You knocked it out of the park. You really helped us with some tips and made it very clear. And shoot, I wanna get on the computer and improve improve the work I'm doing, because it doesn't even get close to the output that you have. I love it. It's so inviting, you know.
Good. That's what I really hoped for. And what I really want everyone to take from is that it's not about, you know, doing something just because people are saying that it's important. It's really thinking about it as just another tool, and that we can all do it, and it's really as good as you want it to be. And some of those things that I was saying to start with, as far as, you know, organizing and just having something organized and relevant, is so easy. And I think we're really kidding ourselves if we kind of push it off as unimportant, because why wouldn't we want to have our best foot forward?
Absolutely. Thank you for detailing that. Everyone, how about a hand for Olivia Van Goor?
Oh, thank you. And thank you, Michigan Jazz Festival, for inviting me. And was so fun. I've had all these ideas jumbling around my brain before, and now I have a presentation that hopefully I can do again somewhere else. So
Thank you. Everybody, we have on November 25th will be our next presentation. That'll be a Saturday, also Saturday afternoon at 3:30. The great Sean Dobbins will be giving a clinic on how to understand and play drums for anyone from a drummer to a non-drummer. So if you're a writer, if you're just someone who wants to understand the drums better, if you guys know Sean, he's one of the best drummers out there. He's a professor at Indiana University now, and he'll be swinging this way for an hour and a half to share his expertise with you. So we hope to see you guys then. Everyone, have a good afternoon. We hope to see you soon.
bye. Happy Halloween.